Evening, Slim. How you doing? You well?
I'm good, my brother. Thank you for having me. I'm well. I'm well. You're looking well. Looking all trim and that.
You know, it's lockdown, innit? Lockdown got me hungry, man. Got me starving.
Looking well. Looking young. That's the main thing. Looking young.
But I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, man. Listen, it's good to talk to you because obviously, Serious World 2020, Serious 2020, Maxwell D remix featuring a host of artists that dropped last week. You got your movie coming or project.
Yeah.
I don't even know whether to call it a movie or a project. You define it
Yeah.
when you get into it. Coming November 13 against
You know
all
what it
odds.
is?
Go on.
It, yeah. So to clarify, it's a short movie. It's going to be a TV series, so that's an exclusive. We're turning it into a TV series. Last year, I just felt after the Intent 2, I just wanted to do something organic, independently, and just throw something out to the fans and just give something back for supporting me and Femi and being behind us. And I knew something like this needed to be told, because Grime, coming from the Grime industry, being a part of it in the early days, promoting DJing, being a part of that whole system, I just felt like nobody's told a story. Nobody's really done a movie about it. There's been loads of documentaries, there's been books, but nobody's really documented the early era of it, the early days, the pirate radio days, the come up, and I just felt that we was going to do something and just throw it out. But we made it, and when we made it, it was so amazing. When we watched it, it was like, we need to do more justice for this because it's actually an amazing part of amazing art. So we just felt that we needed to do a soundtrack to it. It just grew, it just continued, it just grew as it went on, like we decided we're going to make a soundtrack for it. And me and Femi A&R the soundtrack. And I just felt like, what songs would I want to hear from back in the day, what were big? And obviously growing up with Maxwell, coming from East London, I felt like Serious was such a big record back in the day. But it didn't get the exposure that it deserved because it was really early at the beginning of the scene, and I just felt like everybody still knows that record, but there's a new generation who don't know that record or who may not be familiar with the work of Maxwell, because there's a lot of unsung heroes who helped build the scene who don't really get mentioned today. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, a part of the pirate radio station. There's loads of artists who may not be artists now, but helped build the foundation. And I just wanted to do something that showed homage to all those people who paved the way, that helped it to be where it is today. So I knew, like, the Serious record, I was like, you know what? I rang Maxwell, he was away on holiday. I was like, listen, let me remix the Serious record from my project. And he's like, yeah, take it, do what you want to do with it. And we just reached out to a few people that I felt was right. I wanted to mix it with old and new. So we've got Capo Lee, who's the new face of Grime. He's a young generation. You've got Novelist, the same. And then I felt like I needed to get some classics on there. So I've got Bruiser from back in the day. I've got Temper T, who's known for his energy and his hype. And So Large from Bow. And it came together really organically, and I've been working close with Roo Kid, the producer. And me and him went into the studio and I told him my vision, and he just made this banging beat. And we just put it together, and then the soundtrack started growing from there. We've also got another record with D.E.E. Obviously, D.E.E. is a legend in Grime. He's just one of the greats who was back then and still now. Like, he's been current throughout the whole 15 years of Grime. He at the start he was here, and he's still putting out an album this week now that's popping off. So it was great to work with him. And I just wanted to work with people who I grew up with and people that I had relationships with and understood my vision for the movie.
Slim, you
a lot of information I just gave you there.
No, it's great. It's great. What I'm more thinking as I sit down and look at the project you put together, and I know what's coming with Against All Odds on November 13. You have done this in such a professional manner that's befitting of all your work and belies all of your experience. But for that younger generation you talk about, how are you such a linchpin in galvanizing all of this process? How is it that you come to be? I want you to kind of, and I know you've done this in various interviews, but give me a timeline of Nicky SlimTing. How do you come to be in this position?
Do you know what? Like, it's been a long process. It's not been an overnight kind of success, and I'm still nowhere where I want to be. Like, every day I'm striving, every day I'm jumping over hurdles. But for me, I just felt like, obviously I was a DJ, I was a promoter in the grime and garage scene. And as a child, I went to Silver Young Theatre School. My parents used to send me to theatre school at the weekend, and I'd done drama, and I'd done a lot of extra work, like in the Bill, London's Burning and stuff, as I was in primary school and secondary school. And I kind of dropped out of it because of my love for music. And as I got a bit older, I just realized like there was a gap in the market for like Black entertainment in the UK. Obviously, we had a few films that came out, Bullet Boy, we had Kidulthood. And when I watched those films, it just gave me a passion to say, you know what, we need to have more of this over here. Like, we need to have more TV, more films that represent our culture, that represent diversity. And that just set a fire inside of me. From then, I knew that I wanted to make movies. I wanted to be in programs, televisions. I wanted to create stuff that could be seen on TV and around the world. And I learned so much from the music industry. The music industry and the film industry are very similar. And it's a way how to navigate your way through. And I just said to myself, you know what, I'm going to get into this. And a mutual friend introduced me to Femi while I was working at Jetstar as an A&R. And Femi was like, wow, you're Nicky SlimTing. I listen to you on the radio and come to your raves. And I'm like, you're Femi from Kidulthood, you know, you're doing amazing stuff. And I was like, listen, we need to work together. We need to do something. And from that day we met, our journey started, and we made a film called It's a Lot. That took a while for us to get off the ground, took about 18 months to 2 years. Came out, didn't really do no big business, but through that process, I learned the business. I learned the film business. I learned the do's and the don'ts. And I'm a sort of person who just continues going, you know, I just keep jumping over hurdles, you know. It's not, if you're trying to make a change, it's definitely not going to be easy. And if you're trying to be a Black filmmaker in the UK or in the world, it's definitely not going to be easy. But I kind of use those obstacles as my advantage. I never look at it like, oh, the whole world's against me. I use the things that are difficult for me to be in my advantage. And I just felt like, you know what, we can do this. And since then, I've made The Intent independently, that went on to be a world success, got a Netflix deal, opened up so many other doors for me. Off the back of that, I've done the deal with Island Records and made The Intent 2, flew to Jamaica, shot a whole movie there. That was a success. And even though I'd done all those things, the door wasn't still knocking like crazy. You would have expected like everybody would have been at my door. That wasn't the case. And I just felt like, you know what, like, what am I going to do next? Like, I need to do something with the independent spirit, the same way I started. Let me make Against All Odds. And I decided that I'm going to do this 30-minute short movie. And off the back of the short movie, I'm going to turn it into a TV series, because my idea for it was just to throw it on YouTube. It's like to make it, throw it up on YouTube, say it's out, and let it organically, the audience resonate with it. But as we made it, it was such a good piece of art. I was like, you know what, we need to make a soundtrack. We need to give this a good push. And then luckily I showed it to Rob at Motown. Rob, who was at Virgin, and now he's the head of Motown and stuff like that. And he loved it. He loved the idea. He loved everything I was doing. He had seen our journey, me and Femi's journey, and was like, I really am inspired by what you guys are trying to do for the entertainment and Black film and just everything you're doing. And he's like, let's do something. And he's like, do you want to do a soundtrack for it? I was like, yeah. So we done the soundtrack, and then we're the first artists to come out on Motown Records UK. It's the first thing that they're putting out, and they've really supported us and they're really behind it. As you can see, there's like massive billboards, there's a massive campaign. We shot some amazing videos, Serious 2020 video, big budget videos as well, because there hadn't been big budget videos for grime artists for a long time, unless you're like Stormzy or the Skeptors. Anybody really underneath that hadn't had major money thrown at grime records or UK garage records. So it's kind of the first in a long time outside of those guys to have like quite a big budget video. And we shot another one with DWE that is crazy. It's going to change the game as well. So I could talk forever with you. The journey's ongoing.
And I know it's nowhere near ending. If anything, it's just entering a whole new phase. And I guess I've got so many questions. One of the things I wanted to ask you, definitely while I've got you, is I've known you. I mean, I interviewed Maxwell the other day, and we were speaking about the journey from early 2000s up until now. You've always, you know, I got introduced to you as Clayton's little brother, Younger Dread's day one. You guys have grown and have shown that everything's possible. So it's good to hear you talk in those positive terms about literally learning from each step and it navigating to this point now. Because I think that's wholly important that people like yourselves, you know, that have grown up the way we grew up, are able to explain and chart that journey so people can go back and do their research and understand the point that you're at. Are you and Femi the perfect duo in 2020, given the experiences that you've got, in order to bring that authentic? And I'm not saying that other people, and I've sat down with other people who are just as authentic of you as you guys, coming from the same place as us. But in terms of the mainstream environment wanting to digest what we do from an authentic place, are you guys the perfect duo?
I wouldn't say anyone's perfect, but I think we're a great duo. I feel like we're the yin and yang. I think we bring two different dynamic worlds together. I feel like I bring more of the street element to what we do. Obviously, Femi, he went law school. He knows law very well. He's got a great eye as well, and he understands business. He's a great actor. He's been in kidulthood. He's learned the film business by being on set from an early child and being in one of the biggest British movies ever to come out of this country. And I feel like me being in the music industry, coming from where I'm coming from, the streets, and navigating through that, because once you can navigate through where we come from, you can navigate anywhere. So I feel like when we combine those energies together, it's just unstoppable. And I feel like we have so much respect for each other. I feel like if we didn't have respect for each other, because being a duo is like, it's hard at times, obviously, because you're both opinionated, you both want to do things different ways. We don't always agree on everything, but there's always that mutual understanding and respect for each other where, okay, you know what, I'm going to take your lead on that. Okay, you know what, I'm going to take your lead on that. You know what, Fem, I want to go to Jamaica and shoot the intent. Femi's never been to Jamaica, you know, he's never stepped foot in Kingston or Jamaica. And so he trusted me to take him there and meet people and believe in that vision, verse versa. Like, we're about, when we do the intent 3, we're going to Nigeria. I just feel like we are sharing experiences together and working as a team, because you can't do this by yourself. You know, it's impossible for one person. It's, as much as it's just me and Femi who maybe is driving the force, there's a whole team. Like, to make a movie, you need up to 30, 40 people who help assist you in making that movie. So for me and Femi to take all the credit, it's not right, because we've got DOPs, we've got lighting people, we've got makeup people, we've got stylists, we've got actors who believed in us when we didn't have no budget. We've got artists who come on board and give us their music for free, you know. So it's all the people, yourself, you know, who's been documenting our journey from the beginning and interviewing us and giving us that exposure. It's a team of so many people who help shine the light on what me and Femi are doing. It's just not us. There's so many.
Let me change tact for a second. A couple of questions that I asked Maxwell. Who's the king of grime?
The scene, the people. You know, I feel like to give a title of one person to be the king, I think it's unjust to so many people who put so much work in. Obviously, we've got the pioneers, you've got the Wileys, you've got the Skeptors, you've got a new generation of people coming through, you've got the Stormzy, you've got the legends, Gets, D-Double. To give somebody one throne and say they're the king or something that so many people put input into, I think it does it disjust to anyone. You know, I'm not saying there's not someone who's flown the flag, the Dizzies, the Wileys, the Skeptors who have, and the Stormzy's of today, and the Getses who are breaking boundaries every day and taking it worldwide. They're doing amazing stuff, but there's so many unsung heroes, the Commander B's, the CK Flashes, the Deja Vus, the Rinse FMs, the Heat FMs. The list goes on to people who were there at the start, the record shops that no longer exist. They all helped build this empire, what is called grime or British black music of today. So
no point asking you the next question then. Who's the queen? And how come the queens don't get a light shone on them in the same way?
The queens, the kings and queens. I feel like there is some great women artists. You know, you got the Lady Leishas, you got the Lionesses, you got the new generation coming through, the Miss Banks. If you want to throw Steph London in there, there's so many like girl artists. But you know what? I try to not separate it. I try to just, music's music, you know, and I try to, like, some of these women can spin men on the mic, you know, so I try to get out of that thing of who's the queen, who's the king. Music's music, you know, art is art, you know, and I feel like even when they got best actor, best actress, they're getting rid of all of that stuff, because at the end of the day, acting's acting, music's music. It's not like sport. If it was boxing, there's a difference, because there's a physical thing to, like, some men are stronger than women in certain aspects physically. But I feel like when it comes to talent, like rapping and spinning people on the mic, I just think it's down to your skills. I don't even think it's down to if you're a man or a woman, personally. That's my personal opinion.
No, I tend to agree with that. I think that's I think both questions you've answered very interestingly, and I think also it's important that your voice is heard on these discussions and on these points to change the tact of the discourse that surrounds them. I asked Maxwell this is the last question I'll ask from that interview. Are we celebrating grime in another 20 years?
100%. I think we're celebrating Black British music, you know, if it's grime, if it's drill, if it's rap, I think it's a celebration. The fact that it's all separated upsets me, you know. I feel like it shouldn't be grime, it shouldn't be drill, it should just all be under one umbrella, because they're all cousins of each other, they all represent each other, they all interact with each other. I feel like grime is more than music, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of dressing, and I feel like they all link into each other. I think UK rap, you know, Gigs has killed it from how long now? 15 years killing it. And he mixed with a lot of grime artists. He done tunes with Skepta, he done tunes with JME. Some of his biggest records are with grime artists. There's so many other rappers who've done music with grime artists. So I kind of just look at it as a celebration of Black British music.
So against all odds then, you November 13, where can people watch it? And what are some of those plans for the TV show moving forward? Or are you going to let the response of the audience kind of guide you organically?
I'm going to kind of let the response of the audience guide us organically. Against All Odd is a short movie that is coming out on November the 13th. It will be relaunched on channel, aka that channel U, that is no longer exists. But it's coming back for 7 hours as a takeover. We've convinced the bosses at Universal, because channel U is owned by Universal, and we've convinced the bosses to let us take over Clubland TV, which is the old channel U channel, and we're going to be programming it for 7 hours from 6 p.m. in the evening. It will be channel U, and you'll be able to watch the Against All Odds many times throughout that night. You'll be able to watch, we're bringing back Ace and Viz, the Ill Out show. If you remember Ace and Viz, they had a show called the Ill Out Show. We're bringing back Poet to do a channel U best video countdown. We're introducing some new talent who are doing great things now, like ZZ Mills. She's doing a female takeover, talking to women of grime and British rap and UK Black British music. She's going to be speaking to some females who are in the industry. And we're just going to be showing old school videos and new videos, you know, of today, back then, what set pace back then and what's doing things now. And it's just that day, that takeover is just a celebration of where we started and where we are today. And throughout the evening, you'll be able to watch the film repeating.
Good luck with all of that. Sounds like a big thing. I'm glad you managed to pull it off and pull it together. Before we go, anything else you want to share with us? I don't know, like an intent free.
Yeah, the intent free is definitely coming. There's big plans for that. But before that, we'll be shooting a film called Napa. So look out for a film called Napa. It's exciting. It's a holiday film. But definitely. I
think a little Dickie Bird told me about that. I did an interview with somebody who I think you'll be working with on that.
We're doing a film called. So we're doing a film called Napa. We're aiming to shoot it in by May next year. We should have shot it this year, but COVID happened. But we're definitely shooting that next year, and that's exciting. And at the end of the year, hopefully the intent free will be done. But in between then, look out for Against All Odds. Hopefully we should have a TV series or something popping. There should be more from that. There should be more, because you can't tell that story in half an hour. and you can't tell that story in a film because it's 15 years of music heritage, and I think it would be doing it unjust to try and squeeze it into a film of an hour and a half or 2 hours. I think you need to learn characters. You need to feel the love. We're trying to make our own kind of Top Boy, but in a music way.
Good luck with everything you're doing, Nicky. We're guaranteed to talk again as long as there's breath in our bones.
You,
so
man.
Continued success, and yeah, wishing you all the best, my brother. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Respect, my king.
Yeah.
Take care. Peace.